Hey guys, it's Cayley, and today we're breaking down the music video for Fade Into the Room.
When I'm with you, I don't fade into the room.
So I actually have the voice memo from when I started Fade Into the Room. This is what it sounded like when it started. So Fade Into the Room started like pretty much all of my other songs start, which is me and an acoustic guitar. Actually, that acoustic guitar right there. And I remember this first line came into my head, which is, when I'm with you, I don't fade into the room. And when I was growing up, I always felt super invisible. I felt like a weird kid. I still feel like the weird kid. And that's why music is so important to me, because I feel like music has always been a safe haven for weird kids. When I was growing up, it was really hard to find people who were like me, aka non-binary or queer. So it was hard to see myself in people around me, and it was hard to see myself in things around me. I feel like so much of my life as a kid was lived in my imagination. This line, when I'm with you, I don't fade into the room. I wrote that line from a subconscious place. I wasn't really sure who at the time or what I was talking about. After my grandma passed away in March, I remember going back to the studio with this song idea, which was just this rough voice memo of Fade Into the Room. And I played it for Jackie, and I was like, I think I want to work on this one. Jackie and I have created such an immense understanding of each other's artistic vision. And as we were writing, me and Jackie were going back and forth and unfolding more and more of the song. We got to this moment where I was rereading the lyrics that I had written, and I just started crying. I just started crying to Jackie, and I was saying, I know what the song's about. The song is about my grandma. Fade Into the Room and Jenny were inspired by my grandparents. You can kind of hear Jackie a little bit there, singing with me. We actually took that out. I don't remember if it was after we recorded that or right before, but it was around that time that I started crying. It was something about hearing my best friend sing it along with me and helping me create and express and get this feeling out that I think just like overwhelmed me, especially with the realization of understanding that this song is a dedication to my grandma. So in the intro, when it walks in and there's the church, this is the closest church I could find to the one that I grew up going to with my grandparents. She would take me to church every weekend, every Sunday. My grandparents liked taking me and my mom and my brother, so we would go. And we had a weird relationship with the church. I mean, I definitely did, especially growing up queer, but I was really grateful to have a good church. My grandparents played a heavy role in the church, so I was happy to spend time with my grandparents. I rarely ever said no to anything that my grandparents wanted me to go do or spend time with them. I always knew that time was limited with them. And that's another thing about growing up with older people. You learn the value of things very quickly. At a young age, I was very aware of how short life is and how special everything is when it comes to connection and people and time with people. And I think a lot of that has to do with being partially raised by my grandparents. I used to go to church, and I remember I would cry just looking around. I have always had this kind of very warped perception of life and death, this like very keen awareness to it since I was young. We'd go to church, and I would look around, and I'd get really emotional, and I would start crying to my mom as just a kid. And when my mom asked what was wrong, I would say that like everyone here was dying soon, which is extremely dark for a kid to be thinking about, but it's just something I had always kind of had this awareness to. Just the impermanence of everything, how everything is so temporary. So the lines, I've been thinking about death, kind of it reminds me of that memory. Being in this church in this video takes me right back to being a kid. I remember when I was deciding what to wear for this video, I picked shorts, because a lot of the music that I'm making now is inspired by my inner child, and I believe that my inner child is a boy. And the reason I think that is because I'm non-binary, and I grew up socialized as a woman. Luckily, I got away with being a tomboy. I had this like alter ego named Duke, which was like a cool boy who would wear his hat backwards, and it was like a character that I pretended to be. But at the time, I was actually just exploring my gender, and like not being able to do things I wanted to do when I was younger because I was a girl played a role into all of this. I wanted to wear shorts to sort of signal back to that, like, inner child in me. So I didn't want to look super proper, but it reminded me of, like schoolboy shorts or something, like something you'd wear when you were going to, like, a prep school. I'm playing with rings in this video. I'm playing with a ring, and it's my grandma's ring. She gave it to me in 2019. I actually have a voicemail of her calling me about trying it on.
Hey, Ladybug, it's Grandma, and I was just wondering if you were home. I got your ring for you to try. I love you. See you in a few.
She's really excited to give it to me. I don't keep a lot of material objects. Of course I kept that. It's very important to me. I don't really love jewelry. This is, like, one of the only pieces of jewelry that I wear. In this necklace, I never take it off. It's a baby cherub. I feel like it's good luck, even though that may or may not be true. But I always keep that ring, and if I do wear a ring, I wear that one. That is her real jewelry in the video, and those are real pictures of her that you'll see. But I get up and I repeat everything ever said to me. I wonder what's true about me. That is about growing up and being told who you are and what you are, and how it affects your perception and your relationship with yourself. Like, I couldn't relate to anyone around me, which is part of the reason I started doing music, because it was like my way of exploring myself and my inner world in a safe way. Like, if I could write on a piece of paper and figure out how I'm thinking, because I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. I didn't feel like I could relate to anyone. I grew up in a small town, a queer non-binary kid in a small town. So the only way I knew how to find myself was by diving into this imaginary creative writing world and into music and seeing what comes out of it every time. It was the best. It was how I found purpose. It was how I found meaning. When I was a kid who was struggling to have that. I didn't grow up with, like, perfect mental health. Like, so having music and having these things was important to me. And when I think about this, the lyrics, so I can cling to this, I'm talking about my relationship with my grandma, the support from my grandma. Like, because she always saw me, and she always believed in me, and she always saw the best in me, and she didn't care about those things. And because of that, I feel it in me when I think of her. So I cling to this as me telling me, like, forget what everyone else says, forget how the world's made me feel. I have people who see me and love me and brought out that light, gave me that light, are that light themselves, and returned it back to me. And I'm going to cling on to that, even when they're long gone. So this part where I'm running from the church, the idea behind this is that I'm trying to run away from the loss and run away from the feeling and the experience, but I can't actually go back in time. I can't actually go somewhere. But the representation of this beautiful place is, like, me being alone with myself, running away from it, trying to hide, trying to go back into that safety of childhood, and not being able to get there. So all those people in the stands are my friends, and all those people were actually there for me when my grandma passed away. It's really special to have that kind of support. So I did give a speech at my grandma's memorial. I'm really proud of what I said. I took time to write it out, but I was bawling the entire time, so in the video I'm just crying, you can't even understand me. That is a reference to my speech at her memorial, and dedicating those lines to my grandma. You always knew what to say, even from 3,000 miles away. It's to my grandma. So on that stand, I'm talking to my grandma. When my grandma passed away, I remember there were times where I was so desperate for, like, proof that she was okay, or proof that she was still somehow reachable, that I would sit in my room and, like, hope to see her ghost, or, like, a shadow of her in the corners. So in this scene where I arrive at the house and I'm running up the stairs, I'm chasing a shadow. I'm looking for my grandma. And I wrote a poem about that too. And I've remembered it at this point because I like it so much, if I'm honest. I like it. It captures my feelings a lot. But it goes like this. I talk to God to talk to you. I know where he is, you must be too. I'll look for you in the dark corners of my room. See, I think that grief doesn't leave. I think it wraps around you. I think when bad things happen to you, or you lose someone, I don't think time heals it. I think you just get stronger, like lifting weights or something. Like, you learn to carry the grief with you. So it's not that it goes away, and it's not that time necessarily heals it, but it's that you learn, you adapt, as if you're gaining muscle or you're gaining weight that you're learning to carry. So it becomes lighter naturally because it becomes something you carry every day. And when I had gotten to the point in my grief process where I've explored the feeling through music, I've cried a lot to my friends, I've talked about her, and now I've made this music video to memorialize her. The day after I announced that this video was going to premiere, my mom calls me and let me know that my papa passed away. So I lost both my grandparents, and I ended up dedicating the video to both of them. So this is for David and Mary Jordan, and this is how I'm gonna keep them memorialized forever, because they say when you're loved by a writer, you never die, and I believe that to be true.